What is going on? What is going on, mi gente? Today is Monday, April 22nd, 2024. So we're well into the second quarter of the year now. We did not do a live market outlook today. Hopefully you guys can't tell, but I'm a bit stuffy right now, and I had to get myself together to be able to even go ahead and do this recording effectively. All right, so we have a good old week coming up here in the markets. The last week was pretty good, for those of you guys who were on the live sessions. And honestly, did I have the live sessions last week? I only have one live session from last week because I traded London actually the majority of last week. So that was new and unexpected. So I was not prepared to record. But I was trying out a new evaluation with my funded futures. They are also a company that I was consistently using for Forex evaluations. And I went ahead and did an evaluation with them last week, and we were able to be pretty good. Majority of these, I love their interface. I like their interface a lot better than Top Tier, as much as I think Top Tier is a great company. I like this interface, the way that they allow me to track my trades, break them down. So I will be referring them for, from now on, as well as Top Tier for futures trading. But best day of the week last week was, of course, Wednesday. And Monday we were able to have a good day as well, and then finished it off on Thursday. Probably would have been able to secure more on Thursday. However, that was the day we passed, so we didn't need to secure anymore. But I believe both Wednesday and Thursday I traded London session, so I only have the recording for Tuesday, and of course don't trade live on Monday. But it was a good week last week. Going into this week, no high impact news today on Monday, so not in a rush to take any trades. But if we see something setting up, of course we can take it. But just being aware that there is a chance that nothing actually goes on that we want to participate in on Monday. Tuesday we will have some high impact news at 9:45 and 10 a.m., which is a healthy time for us to get those news releases coming in, give us a little bit of movement in the markets. And then Wednesday, high impact news 8:30, oil at 10:30. Thursday, high impact news 8:30, and we have pending home sales at 10 a.m. tends to affect the market, and then PCE on Friday, right? So pretty healthy week, no CPI, NFP, FOMC, just good red folder news events that should provide us liquidity when it comes to the market, all right? As we have been aiming at, last week and the week before, we were aiming for the highs of February to be taken, and we did see that happen the first week here of April. Last week was a really small week, right? Really didn't move around too much. They kind of just rejected off of this order block here at the top, as you can see. But the price action is very bullish. Like that first week of April's candle was very bullish, and very close to the highs of 2023 as a whole. So I do want to see dollar get up into that price action. And I pointed out last week that if we see the dollar respect this up candle here, right? This was an up candle before we saw price sell off down back into these lows. So I wanted to see this mitigation candle essentially be respected. And last week, you see, we traded into it, respected it, and traded higher. And this is interesting because it's now leaving a fair value gap here on the weekly time frame, right? It's hard to see the wick of this candle, but I can see it. I'll help you guys though. You see where the wick is, right? So from the high of this candle here to the low of this candle here, okay, we've got a nice fair value gap here on the weekly time frame, right at the other side of that mitigation candle. So my first anticipation would be that dollar digs into here, and if I see bullish price action, I'm taking that as a hint that we actually want to see price go ahead and head towards those highs very quickly. That would be my first anticipation. And then looking at that same fair value gap, we have that low of last week here being our sell side liquidity that is close. So if I see price go ahead and get down below here and show willingness to go higher, then I will believe that yes, we will be taking this price action up to the high side. So that is my overall thought on dollar. Now, I am taking into account the fact that we have traded up into a key level here on DXY, right? And we've seen a bit of a bounce away from it on the lower time frames. You could argue that we have a lower low, we have a lower high coming in. But just based off of our narrative, I think we're really close to those highs of 2023. We have that weekly fair value gap, the mitigation on the other side. I really want to see something like this play out on dollar. Okay. So that's what we'll be paying attention to here on dollar. Now, a little bit of a confirmation for that. Bonds looks still very strongly bearish. All right. I've given bonds the anticipation to get down below these double bottoms from November. Okay. Seeing price come down into that weekly fair value gap and these equal lows, and price action has been bearish. I didn't want to see potentially us get up to this fair value gap, but as of right now, price has proven to continue being in a bearish trend here. So last week was here. All right. So this is last week's price action. And maybe if we see a run below the lows of last week and then some bullishness, maybe I'll be willing to change my thought process. But I'd prefer to see a run up above the highs of last week, or just into this structure here that we have, right? Because we came going lower, traded a bit higher early in the week, gave us a lower low, came back, took out all the highs. And we're continuing to the downside now, right? So I would expect to see price want to respect this last down candle before they did trade higher, which is now a key level for us. All right. So really, this is we should be able to know what's going on by the morning time, depending on how they respond with what I just pointed out. Looking at NASDAQ, we've been really biased on gold the past week or two. Gold's been doing us well here on NASDAQ. We finally did see NASDAQ go ahead and run out the lows of February here. I think it's nice that NASDAQ came into this weekly fair value gap here. Right, boom, boom. And they just now came back down to that middle point again. But it's a little weird because on the other NASDAQ chart, we closed well into this fair value gap, well, like below it actually, right? Whereas on this one, it hasn't. So when I see weird stuff like that, it's something that I take into account. But I ain't gonna let it help me make any decisions. But just looking at this year so far, we added at a discount of this year on the higher time frames, seeing us have traded into that weekly fair value gap, and then now below these lows of February. I wanted to give them an opportunity to potentially pull back to these highs from Tuesday of last week, because that would be at a discount of the price action of this month so far. So after trading below February's lows, wouldn't be surprised to see that start to play out. And so what I'm going to be paying attention to is the opening gap here from Sunday, and how price is responding to or from that going into New York session tomorrow. Give me a little bit of insight. So if dollar does anything against my expectation, for example, trades lower, then I could, I have a understanding for a buy potential opportunity on gold on NASDAQ. So that's what I'm paying attention to. But NASDAQ is just so low that these aren't the levels that I would enjoy selling it from. But I can probably find an opportunity. It's not really anything that I can plan for on market outlook, right? So that's why I said the clearest buy side would be this high. So if I see any bullishness, I'll trade up to there. Sorry. And lastly, so we can wrap this up quickly, because like I said, I don't want to be in here sniffling you guys' ear. Looking at gold. So far, we've just been absolutely bullish here on gold. There's been no other conversation. However, looking at last week's price action, we did start to see a little bit of shakiness, right? So last week, I was expecting turnarounds on gold with all the bullishness on DXY. I haven't seen it. And if I see what I want to see as far as continued bullishness on DXY, then 100% will be looking for these sells on gold. Silver is starting to break down, show us lower lows here, right? So even though gold's not as obvious, we're just using silver as an indicator that most likely that's what they want to do, in my mind. Looking at last week, we had reached a high, right? Saw the markets come down, give a high early in the week, a lower high early in the week, gave us a lower low, right? And then we saw them go ahead and run out those highs. And then we got sharp expansion after taking out those highs to the downside. So I am keeping in mind, we do have the lows here. We have double bottoms here in April to pay attention to. And then, of course, many, many, many areas that we can pay attention to. But for right now, just looking at these lows from that first week of April, I feel like we do have a lot of liquidity under here. So I do believe that that would be my target if I were able to secure selling opportunities here on gold. So just looking at last week's price action, boom, here is where they took out that high. If I go down to the 15-minute, was it the 15 or was it the 4-hour? Okay, if I go down to the 4-hour, right, this is the candle that took that high, but we had one down candle right here before price went higher and took out that high. So just looking at that down candle and drawing a box out across, I'll pay attention to, tomorrow if we see gold get up into here and we see potential bearish price action on, 5-minute, 15-minute. That would be taking us above these highs here from Monday so far. And yeah, even up into, I guess that would be the open of the week. All right, the market official open. But, for right now, we're paying attention to the weekly open being here, and just seeing them trade above that midnight price would be good. Right, and back up into that, because not only is that a 4-hour breaker, but here on the other side, we also do have the low of this candle here and the high of this candle that we're seeing traded right now that ends in 10 minutes. And we're now leaving a fair value gap right there. Okay, so just even on a higher time frame bias, this is how I'd be looking at this opportunity. Okay. Now, clearly, I won't be trading these big of risk on this trade. But like I said, that'll be the overall trade idea. And then going into New York session, I can look for potential price structure, something like that. And if it's clean, we can take something. And that would be the ideal opportunity because gold is at a premium. We're getting breaks of structure to the downside. And we have dollars still showing that, those ideas for bullishness that we're looking for. So that's what I'm going to be looking forward to going into this week, going into today. But remember, overall targets on DXY are still the highs of 2023. Once we reach there, I can start looking for some other action. But that's the main thing for me. So, see you guys this week. Hopefully, sounding better by Tuesday morning for the live session. So for those of you guys, that's going to be plugging in, see there. And I will be trading the live my funded futures account this week. And the website is back up and running. So, all those recordings from the course and the recordings from the live sessions will be where they're supposed to be. All right. So see you guys this week. Let's get it.